Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. The original stars of the Broadway musical BroadwayWorld are reuniting for a one-night-only 15th anniversary concert of the show, which will take place on October 21st, benefiting the Covenant House. And we drop by the beautiful Green Room 42 to sit in on a rehearsal and to chat with the company, led by Eden Espinosa. That you sat here on your first days. I mean, singing for our fans. A rehearsal for BroadwayWorld. So get your tickets too to see this masterful thing. What are your fondest memories of the original? Because you and I started to talk. I got to see the original production 4 times.
Oh my goodness.
We all were obsessed with this, and audience were obsessed with this, yet it didn't run long, but it's got this incredible cult following, this show.
Yeah, I think that's the most, the thing that I hold closest to my heart. It was like, the first role I originated on Broadway, and, the first one I saw from workshop to out-of-town tryout to coming to Broadway. And it's amazing to me the amount of people that talk to me about it now who didn't see it, who were maybe 5 years old. Like, they were like, oh, I'm like, how you weren't even old enough to go to this show? How do you know it? And everyone in college, or I just listened to the cast album over and over again, and it's kind of like picked up speed over the years, which is strange because it's no longer on any streaming platforms. The cast album, strangely enough, I don't know who's in charge of that, but you should put it back. So yeah, it's amazing. It has a nice little cult following, and I think that I'm very proud of that. Because it's like the little show that could. Yeah, because we didn't run very long, and I think it was ahead of its time. It really was, that the whole sidewalk fairy tale thing and the way that we were singing and the type of music. There wasn't a lot of like scores like this then, and now it's like super popular, and the style of singing is super popular on Broadway. So I think it was ahead of its time, but I'm proud to be a part of it, and I hope that everyone comes and sees us.
Oh, they will.
Later.
Let's talk about that original cast. A lot of them are coming back for this. Tell our audience who's coming back to this.
Yes. Well, we have Ramona Keller. Amazing. You probably just saw her in Hercules in the park. Karen Olivo. A lot has happened for her in the last 15 years. Myself, we have Will Swenson joining us, who was a part of our original cast, and he went on for Taylor Collins many, many times. And our only newcomer is Quentin Earl Darrington, and Clavant is on the Wicked tour right now, so he couldn't be here with us. But and then we have all of our original understudies who sang in the pit, and they're going to be on stage with us singing. All of our original band, our original MD James Sampliner. So it's literally getting the band back together for this night. 15 years to the day. We opened on October 21st, and our show is on October 21st, 15 years later. It's so crazy how that lined up. But yeah, it's amazing.
Now, this is an incredible benefit. What will this evening benefit?
All the proceeds go to Covenant House, which is an organization that's really close to a lot of our hearts. And our original director, Jeff Calhoun, is very involved with them. And, I just thought when I had the ideas of, we were maybe going to do it for the 10-year, and then that didn't happen. And then I sort of was like, maybe we should do it for the 15. And I thought Covenant House would be the perfect organization because it just helps homeless youth and LGBTQI youth, and with the homeless aspect of the show. And Mark Schoenfeld, who wrote the show, was homeless at the time that he wrote this, and he used to perform this on the street for money. And so, yeah, I just think it's really important to help organizations like this, and it couldn't be a better cause.
And where does it take place?
We are at Brooklyn Steel in Brooklyn. Yes, shows at 7:30, and we have a limited amount of tickets on Today Tix, and stay tuned. There might be some discount codes dropped, but a lot of our sections are already sold out, so the tickets are going, which is amazing. And let's raise money for Covenant House. And here's some singing.
Totally. Favorite memories of doing this? Because I remember talking to all of you in the rehearsal room when this was all being put together. You became this really tight family. Like you said, it was a lot of firsts for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like meeting the fans back then at the stage door, just like favorite things that happened to all of you during that show. What are your favorites?
I think most of all is having, people in the industry and celebrities come back, because our show was just out of nowhere. It was really like the dark horse that nobody had ever heard of these composers. Nobody had ever heard of a lot of us, except for Clavant was like the biggest name, and Kevin had done movies and stuff. But I think just having people's reactions, this heartfelt, just like outpouring of like, I've never heard music like that, or I haven't heard people sing like that, and having people be affected by what we were doing was just very impactful for me at a young age, at 25. So I think that's my favorite memory. And just the five of us really banding together, a show that commercially isn't very well known is difficult to sustain. And so we definitely had highs and lows, and we really we leaned on each other a lot in those times. So I think that's a good memory for me too.
Did you have a lot of like dinners over the years, or how did you all stay close over the years?
Well, Kevin and Clavant lived in LA, so we haven't seen much of them, but like Karen, Ramona, and I would still like get together, and so that's we started talking about around the 10-year and going, should we do it? And then 15, I sent them a text. I'm like, you guys, we're
doing it.
Should we do it? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So it just happened to be on a Monday. It happened to be that date, and Karen has the night off. And so, we just started making calls, and here we are. It's crazy.
I remember you had an incredible costume designer on that show. Wasn't everything made from
garbage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tobin Ost, because we were a band of homeless street performers. And so it was amazing because these costumes, they looked like couture gowns made out of I Heart New York deli bags and black garbage bags with caution tape, and, a tiara made out of chip bags. And so I think that's another thing that people really left with, how inventive his costuming was, and Jeff's staging with the props. And we would run around and set everything up. And it was just a very clear vision that the creative team had from the beginning, that we had the pleasure of playing in the playground every day, with these props and these costumes. Yeah.
It was like you were the first, because then Peter and the Starcatcher did it. Some other shows did it afterwards, but you were like revolutionary at the time.
Yeah, it's true. I remember thinking that, and then you see influences like over like Once on This Island, and how they would use the trash too, and I was like, oh yeah, this is
we did that first.
This is kind of like Brooklyn, but it's inspiring to know that whether or not they drew inspiration from it, but it's like, oh yeah, it's cool. We did it 15 years ago. Yeah.
So this is your first day. You're rehearsing here at the wonderful Green Room 42.
Yes.
I mean, just being back, like sitting at the piano with James, like what does that mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. This was my first big splash in this town. And so to think 15 years later that we are all still in each other's lives, maybe not as close nor every day, but that we can literally sit there and go and kind of like click into place. And you know what's really cool is also like bringing ourselves and who we are today to this piece and having the freedom to be able to say, yeah, well, that was 15 years ago and I wouldn't do it like that now. I would do it more like this. And James having the freedom to just kind of make it new and fresh for us, which is really exciting. So I can't wait to get us all in the room together and get going.
Well, like I said, this is an incredible benefit for the
Yes.
Covenant House. Thank you for doing what you have done to finally pull it together.
Thank you.
And to put a producer's cap on, besides performing and everything else, right?
It's crazy. I don't know if I'll ever do it again.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it is, I've learned so much, and I have a lot more compassion and empathy for people that do this, that have an idea and like take it upon themselves to do it, because it's not for the faint of heart. But I know it's going to be worth it, and everyone involved is so excited and invested, and I'm really excited.
Well, first of all, I am so thrilled that you guys are doing this with Eden, that the 15th anniversary concert is actually happening. Mm-hmm. How did you get involved?
Well, I've known Eden. We lived after college. We all lived in LA together. We moved to New York together, and at the time, she was workshopping Brooklyn. So I was a fan. I got to see her on stage. I got to see the show many times, dazzled by it, and since then have done a lot of work directing and working with Eden. So they pulled me on board.
And James, you have a history with this.
I do. I came on board for the Broadway production, and I hadn't done the out of town, but I got a call from John McDaniel, and he asked me to come in and MD the show, and it was my first rodeo as full MD. I had done one show as an associate called Never Gonna Dance, and then this was the next thing right after that, and it was the thrill of my life to play this show every night. Really, really loved it. Still do.
You know, this was a show that didn't run that long, but has gotten this incredible cult following. You know, I was saying I saw this show 4 times. It was cutting edge at the time. Just the characters, the story, the costumes made of garbage. I mean, the whole look of the show that was so beautiful and so like ahead of its time. Favorite memories for you with working on the original?
I think for me it was definitely the Sixth Probe was one of the most amazing moments, because when the kids, you know, and we were all kids, let's put it that way.
We're still kids.
Still kids, but a little salt and pepper now. But when everybody heard those orchestrations for the first time and we got to sit inside those grooves, nothing since I feel like Dreamgirls or something like that, where it was like so honestly R&B, had been really done with that kind of aplomb, with that kind of fervor on the Broadway stage. And so for a lot of us, we realized that we were breaking new ground, which at that point, you know, in 2004, there wasn't a lot of R&B shows and a lot of pop music being done. So we were really forging a different path. So it was a very kind of new, brave world that we were going into. And that was a really fierce memory for me. Yeah.
For you, seeing the show back then and now being here for this 15th anniversary concert, like take me back to then, what it meant to you.
Oh, it was, well, I'm a little biased. I got to see one of my dear friends make this explosion on Broadway, and that was always really exciting. But I think it was so creative.
Yeah.
I think it was, it's the true nature of storytelling. And I think that with this incredible music and this young talent that was so spectacular gave a vehicle to really grab people's hearts. And so I think today, as we look through a new lens, it's really acknowledging today, but also acknowledging the power of storytelling and sort of glorifying that altogether.
It's a timeless story.
It definitely is one, and I think it's one that the real point of the entire tale is one that is, I think all of us feel something unique every year of our life, and so we want to bring that to the forefront of each of the cast members as well.
Yeah. James, being here at the beautiful Green Room 42, it's the first day of rehearsal here. I mean, Eden is here, Ramona's here, everyone's coming in to sort of rehearse. Like, what's going through your mind?
Well, the first thing is that it's just so lovely to play for these folks again. I can't express what a joy it is to play with each one of them. Each one of them, we were all babies at the time. I mean, we all were basically starting our careers. And to see how each one of us has forged our own individual path in a way that has advanced our artistry, I've had the pleasure of working with so many of Broadway's wonderful entertainers. That happened all after the show. I had started my association with Billy Porter right after this show. Karen has gone on to her stuff, Eden with her stuff, Clavant and
Will Swenson.
Will Swenson. Everybody that's Julie Ribers and Come From Away. It's like all of these people, we were all babies and we all have kind of forged our own individual path. But to come back together to sing this particular music, especially some of the lyrics in these are so politically right on the nose right this very second. Yeah. And it's so weird how ahead of our time we were. We never thought about issues of immigration and dealing with racism in the way that this show kind of does. And to see it once again and to hear it once again, we're all like, oh, wow, we really can give this message back again after 15 years. It's amazing.
Beautiful. Finally, this is a benefit for the Covenant House. Mm-hmm. Just talk about how incredible that is and what it will mean to them.
Oh, I think it's just taking the mission forward. I think what I love when you do these benefits is that it takes something that sometimes is very private and a great calling, and it just puts it on a larger platform. So I think it's going to be an exciting event for them. Mm-hmm.
So everybody should get tickets now, for which tickets are left, right?
Absolutely. Snatch them while you can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Go back to rehearsal here at the Green Room 42, and we'll see you all on October 21st.